Well, zombie tactics today. Kind of a little different video than most of them that I do. I'm heading on up today to Cabela's, which I sometimes refer to as the Mothership. Cabela's, Reno, California. You can tell that the weather is beautiful this afternoon in the foothills of the Sierras in Northern California. And of course, Cabela's, Reno, that's Nevada. So I'll be crossing state lines, of course, and there's a reason for that. Beautiful, beautiful weather here. I'm going to kind of just take some footage as I go along the way until I get there, as kind of a way to provide a visual background to the first sort of politically motivated zombie tactics video. Of all the silly things that they spend our tax money on, the roads never seem to be among the first priorities. That's one thing you'll see is as I go into Nevada here a little bit later on, the roads suddenly become very well maintained in a state that has nowhere near the tax base of California per capita.
Okay, so stupid gun laws. Part 1. Who knows how many parts there'll be, because as any zombie aficionado will tell you, you need guns to fight off the hordes of the undead, and you just don't like things limiting your access to said weapons of mass destruction. Well, anyway, here in California, we have some of the most restrictive gun laws in the nation, and every single one of these laws was passed by a bunch of politicians, most of whom said, I totally support the Second Amendment, and I totally support people's right to keep and bear arms. I'm just for common sense. Common sense restrictions, and after all, we're all for that, aren't we? Vote for me. Well, they just don't seem to know what common sense is, or they lie through their teeth, or they don't care. And first on my list of these kinds of restrictions are the magazine capacity restrictions we have in California. If you go to buy a new handgun or a firearm of any kind that takes a magazine, a semi-automatic pistol or a semi-automatic rifle, you'll notice that you cannot find for sale anywhere a weapon that has more than a 10-round capacity magazine that comes with it. Now, it's not illegal, believe it or not, for you to buy that magazine. It's illegal for somebody else to sell it to you or to import it into the state, which kind of sounds like splitting hairs, but it amounts to the same kind of thing, doesn't it? Now, if you happen to have a magazine that holds, say, 15, 17, 20, 30 rounds from before the time that this restriction took effect, you're perfectly within your rights to keep track of them, which kind of defies common sense. I mean, if there are these horrible things, why wouldn't they just ban them out? Right. Well, the theory goes something like this. If criminals have firearms that only hold 10 rounds, what'll happen is when they're robbing that bank, somehow the police, in the middle of this highly stressful situation, will be able to count to 10. You fired once, you fired twice. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 10! Let's rush him, let's rush him, let's rush him. He's out of bullets, he's out of bullets. Of course, that's as stupid as it could possibly be, because as I'll demonstrate here, cutting into video, it takes about this much, that's right, to reload another magazine in the gun. Maybe a half a second longer than that if you're, not really particularly coordinated. So the entire theory behind the law is stupid to begin with. On top of which, if people already have higher capacity magazines, they can keep them and continue to use them in weapons that hold those magazines. Glock pistols and AR-15 rifles, in many cases, depending upon the configuration of the rifle, are exactly those kinds of situations. So what good does this law do? Nothing. It simply makes it harder on law-abiding citizens. And you say, well, I don't know, if criminals can't get a hold of anything bigger than a 10-round mag. Stop right there. We all know that criminals are not going to be worried about following a law about magazine restrictions. I mean, come on, they're going to rob a bank, they're going to get involved in a home invasion robbery, they might be murdering some people, but oh, no, they're really worried about violating that magazine capacity restriction. By the way, nobody's ever been convicted of breaking this law, so it kind of seems stupid to have it on the books in the first place. Not to mention that if you are a criminal, you can drive to Cabela's just like I'm doing in this video here, and you could just go across the state lines, buy those magazines, come back into California, there you go, you're all gunned up, ready for your bank robbery. Do you think a 90-minute, 2-hour drive, planning in advance, would keep a criminal from doing something like that? Of course it wouldn't. Many of these kinds of crimes are planned 2-3 years in advance. We know that from their own testimonies and their own confessions. So, a little 90-minute drive to Reno is not going to stop anybody. By the way, when I'm driving to Reno here today, I am not doing that. I'm not buying magazines and bringing back in the state. I'm kind of just going there for fun, and it seems as a good way to demonstrate this principle. The second stupid law is one that's partially in effect in California right now and will be coming fully into effect in 2011 if we don't do something about it. And that's new restrictions on buying ammunition. You cannot have any ammunition displayed in a gun store or sporting store anywhere where a customer can get at it. It has to be behind a counter or on a locked display case where you can't just pick it up off the shelf, take it up to the counter and buy it. And in addition to that, starting in 2011, you're going to have to leave a thumbprint with every ammunition purchase that you make. You also will not be able to do mail order ammunition. I guess the theory behind this is that somehow they're going to be able to track people down by their thumbprints and say, hey, somebody bought some 9mm ammunition somewhere in the state on this day, and there was a bank robbery the next day, so that must mean these are the guys that did it. I don't see how that makes any sense or how that's going to help any police department. There's no way that they can possibly run around to all the different gun stores and check who bought ammo, or if they're going to know that that ammunition was bought a week ahead of time, 2 weeks ahead of time, 3 years ago, 2 hours before the crime was committed. It doesn't make any sense at all. It's just another thing to get in the way of law-abiding citizens practicing their Second Amendment rights. Now, as somebody who does a fair amount of shooting, because I like to keep my zombie killing skills up to snuff, I go through several hundred rounds a year, definitely, for each weapon that I own. So I'd like to be able to buy that weapon in bulk and preferably online, but I won't be able to do it anymore in 2011. It'll have to be a face-to-face transaction someplace local. But again, I can perfectly legally drive 90 minutes to Cabela's in Reno, Nevada, pick up as much ammunition as I want, no thumbprint, no nothing, bring it back with me. Now, if I'm a criminal planning a crime, that's exactly the thing that I guess I'd do if I were worried about somebody being able to track down where I bought ammunition 3 years ago while I was planning my giant bank heist. It's stupid, stupid, stupid. It doesn't make any sense. You can see, by the way, I'll go back to the magazine situation, and you can see all these different magazines that are high-capacity magazines that were available at Cabela's the day that I went there. Here's a 40-round magazine for a Mini 14, a 30-round AR-15 magazine, a 17-round 9mm Glock magazine, a 33-round 9mm Glock magazine. You can even get, oh my gosh, is this ridiculous, a 90-round AR-15 magazine. There's nothing stopping you from buying that if you're a criminal and just taking it with you back into California. There you go. You're ready to rock for your crime. But it's one of those things that it just irritates common ordinary citizens and does no good whatsoever. Not to mention that all that business is now going to Nevada. Same thing with buying the ammunition. Here you go. Ammunition piled up on the display cases here. You can just grab that ammunition, walk right up to the counter. How much do you want? Pay for it and go. Stupid, stupid laws that don't do anything, don't help prevent any crimes, don't keep anybody safe. They're just things that get in the way of ordinary citizens preparing for either a zombie apocalypse or just, stocking up to go target shooting or something else that's completely safe and legal. That's my rant for the day on zombie tactics, and I hope to see you next time. And maybe if you're in California, stock up before 2011, because it's going to just get stupider and stupider before it gets any better. That's zombie tactics for today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.